Hi everyone, how are you guys? Are you guys ready for today's topic? I'm very excited. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, let's see if it's already in here. I can see she's already online. Hi.
Hi. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. We've made it.
Great. We made it.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I'm very excited to be having this chat with you today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited as well.
I want to ask you before we start, did you put your baby to sleep?
Not yet. He's been very naughty lately.
Guys, I have to tell you something about Aceana. She told me the other day, can we change the timing because I need to put my baby to bed. So I respect entrepreneurs, moms who can do it all. And I think we'll talk about it a little bit later. So Aceana, I want you kind of to tell everyone who you are and what do you do and a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Aceana. I'm originally Spanish and I moved to London about 10 years ago. And there is when I started my business back in 2013. So I'm a nurse as a background. And so just before I started my business, I was working as a nurse with my current business partner, Mahi. And we both were working with different doctors around Harley Street and around the medical district of London. We were working with them doing IV therapy, but for patients that had cancer, chronic diseases, so all sorts of very severe medical conditions. And then is when we realized how amazing these treatments were for this type of people, and we realized that we wanted to do this, but more on the wellness side. So that's when we had the amazing idea of opening Elixir.
I know that you know, one of the things that I was really fascinated about, learning about you and how you started the business, and like, it wasn't an easy journey. You started very small and mashallah, it's becoming such a successful business. I am a proud client of Elixir Clinic. And, I always tell people when I talk about you guys that I'm just so proud of you guys, like as two female entrepreneurs working really hard through tough times, making it and, making this business global. And we're honored to have a place, to have you guys in Abu Dhabi as well to serve the community here.
Thank
So
you.
I wanted to know a little bit about the fact that you were a nurse and you decided to make that move to become an entrepreneur. What triggered that?
So I've always been very hardworking, and I've always wanted to do a change for for the well-being and for the health of people. That's why I became a nurse. And from becoming a nurse to an entrepreneur is a big step. Like, if you see all the nurses, only like 0.1% of the nurses maybe will become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, if I studied medicine, probably I wouldn't be where I am. And I am here because I studied nursing. And I always encourage all these nurses to do more than what it's on their comfort zone, So I even moved to London because I wanted to study English. So that's how small I started,
Yeah.
And English was a barrier for me. And this is something that actually I don't tell many people. So I moved there because I wanted to improve my language. Then I moved there. I started working as a nurse. And once I discovered this amazing treatment, it just kind of was very easy for us to just take the next step, because we didn't think about anything related to business. Like, of course, we didn't have any background on business. We had no idea on how to fundraise, how to create a business. We just knew how to do very well what we were doing, because we were doing IV therapy for the last 2 years before we started the business. We had a great relationship with doctors. We had a great relationship with clinics. So when I asked Mahi, let's open the clinic, she at the beginning she told me, "You're crazy. How can we do this? Like, we just two nurses." And I said, everything is possible. You know, if you really work hard towards what you want to do, there is always a way to do it. And so without an investment, we just, with the relationships that we had, we found a few doctors that were working with us every time we had a client. We found a clinic that we rented by hour, so we didn't have to commit to yearly rent. And then slowly, by word of mouth is when we started seeing clients. And of course, at the beginning, we were having 1 client a week, then 2 clients a week. And all of a sudden, in a period of less than 6 months, we were having 20 patients a day, you know, and that for us was amazing, because from starting from 0 to be completely fully booked in the clinic, we were amazed. And without spending any money in marketing, because obviously we didn't have an investment, but because the treatment was so amazing and the clients really loved it, the word of mouth moved really fast. And then one of our amazing clients that was visiting us in London convinced us to come to Abu Dhabi, and he said, "Just come, see my city." He's actually from Abu Dhabi. And then we went to Abu Dhabi, and we fell in love with the city. We loved it, and we were very happy in London. But he convinced us to come there and did an amazing job, because didn't only show us you know, the clinics that the potential place that we could work, but also showed us the city and organized amazing stay here in Abu Dhabi. So then is when we decided to come in 2014 and explore the possibility of opening a clinic there. And that was a major step for us, because obviously we had a lot of experience in the medical field in London, but not so much in the Middle East. So it took us a while to open our first clinic in Abu Dhabi. It took us about a year just to figure out everything related to the business side and to the legality and the health authorities. But we worked really hard, and then we opened our first clinic in the Middle East in Abu Dhabi.
Aceana, would you say that you and Mahi's experience starting a business was all self-learning? You had to learn as you go with your business, even from your humble beginnings from Harley Street? Would you say that?
It was, yes, 100%. Yes. Also, I learned a lot from people around me. So I've always, starting from my dad, you know, I've always tried to learn. My dad has a small business, so I always looked up to him and trying to learn as much as possible. And then back then, my husband started his own business as well, just like I did. So I was very inspired by him, and then I thought I can do it as well. And even without having any business experience, I managed it. And of course, through the years, I got that business experience. Now I understand about business plans and P&Ls and all of that.
Of course you do. I feel like, you know, when I first was introduced to Elixir Clinic, I was fascinated by just the methodology of the business. And you guys put a really nice business together, to be honest. I have to say that it feels great going to the clinic. It feels, you know, I love to have home service and people come to me to home all the time. But when it comes to Elixir, I love going there because I just love the environment. I love the fact there's privacy for clients. And I know that in your previous time in London, you worked very closely, you know, or you had passion or interest in cancer patients. And that really led you to see what else can you do for patients in general in terms of well-being. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
So I worked a lot. So basically, you asked me 2 questions. So with the feel and look with the clinic, we've always tried to build a clinic that doesn't feel like a hospital. It's basically like a homely environment, but at the same time clinical. And that's why our clients always tell us that they love going to the clinics because they feel super comfortable. And this is something that I love hearing, because it's very important that when you go for a well-being treatment, you don't want to feel like you are going to, you are ill and you're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And working in London with a lot of oncologists, integrated medicine doctors, we work with immunologists. It helped Mahi and I to really develop the protocols that were excellent, because we got to work with so many doctors that every doctor had amazing protocols. So what we did when we started the clinic with our own doctors is we put together all these protocols and we developed something unique. Because back 8 years ago, you could see like it was very dispersed, the ideas. You would go into the doctor and you wouldn't have a tailored kind of thing. So when Maggie and I started the Elixir Clinic, the first thing that we did is we sat down, we worked on the protocols, on the prescriptions, on the calculating, obviously, the osmolarity and the pH, and making sure that the health and safety it was there. And it's not just the pick and choose, it's choosing really the ingredients that go together and they don't interact with each other. So there was a lot of things that we had to work on the background before we started the business. And because of the cancer research, that especially Maggie worked a lot on cancer research, I did as well, slightly with these doctors, but it really helped us to develop these amazing protocols that we have now. And the fact that ourselves, we worked with this type of clients with chronic diseases, people that have problems with allergies, with intolerance, gastrointestinal disease, it helped us to identify what ingredients work best for what. And that's how we actually develop our protocols out of our experience.
Would you say, Aceana, that your protocols and services applies to all age range, or do you think that's just for adults? Or because I love the service you have, and it really benefited my health because I have digestive issues and all that.
I have actually some doctors in the UK that they do see children, but just because we touch more the well-being side, we don't advise for children on age less than 18 to have the treatment, just because we don't want to interfere with anything related to their growth. So, and there is plenty of time for them to take care of their health, after they are 18. And actually, I had a few years ago, there was a very bad batch of vaccines. Actually, in Copenhagen, they put too much heavy metals on those vaccines. And of course, vaccines are amazing and they are necessary, and all the kids have to have it. But unfortunately, there was a very bad batch, and I had to see a lot of kids just over 18 to detoxify those heavy metals, because some of them they didn't even have hair because of the high mercury that they had in the blood. They were losing their hair. They went to so many doctors, they couldn't find out what was wrong with their health. And when they came to us, we realized that they had very high mercury, extremely high, poisoning for their body. So then we started doing detox for that mercury, and after 3 months of very heavy detoxing, they started having hair again. So it was like amazing to see that.
Yeah.
But again, we don't want to. Of course, you can diagnose, you can do blood tests and things like that, but with measure and the treatments after they are 18, unless it's a very, very severe case and the doctor really wants to do it before that.
I feel like as well, a lot of people don't pay attention to deficiencies and, how important is it for the body and just general function, of the body. And I see as well, I feel like if parents are more aware, because these are things you don't see visible. Like, this is not an allergy reaction and you see it, but you see it in other ways. And I think if people were more educated on well-being and all these elements of how you can replace certain things and do certain things, like I know in my case, when I suffered from all the allergies and everything, and I had massive deficiencies, I couldn't digest, for example, the regular pills. I had to do IVs because that was more effective for my case. I feel if parents are more educated or general public are more educated, they might be able to, not really feed their kids all these stuff that can cause them, all these toxins in their body and all of that. But
Yes, I totally agree with you.
yeah, and I think like talking about well-being, how you've been in the business for quite some time, you've introduced something really new, Mahi and yourself. Do you feel people are paying attention to their well-being right now more than before?
I think it's definitely much more than before, and this is something that actually Mahi and I have always been very insistent into educating our clients. So every time we do something on Instagram, it's about education, because this is very important. And of course, I don't blame people. Before I knew about this treatment, I didn't know about that. So I just got the knowledge, of course, reading about things and studying about it. So it's very important for parents and for everyone to really look at their well-being and to understand what they are doing wrong and what they are doing correct, or what they should do to improve.
Yeah, especially with immunity issues as well now with COVID-19 and everything. That's another element. I feel people didn't pay attention to their immunity as much before. I know people who get sick very quickly, like they get the flu very quickly and everything. But now people are more cautious. They want to know, they want to see how they improve their immunity and everything. Tell us about, how important is immunity support to have that strong immunity system?
And actually people that want to improve their immunity, they think taking a little bit of vitamin C is enough. And actually immunity can come because of many different things. So let's say you have, I'm going to talk about the same example I said before, heavy metals. If you have aluminium, mercury, lead, if you have all these heavy metals in your blood, your immunity will be affected. If you don't sleep well, your immunity will be affected. If you're stressed or you didn't eat well, your immunity is going to be affected. So, of course, it's not only taking a few vitamins, but also fixing other things in your lifestyle. So, and immunity is very, very important for of course, to make sure that you don't catch any bad viruses. And like vitamin C, I would like to mention this because it's quite curious. People used to take vitamin C orally, and vitamin C orally is very difficult to get absorbed. And if you take 1 gram, most probably you will absorb 0.1 if you're lucky. You can't take more orally because you can hurt your stomach. Vitamin C is an acid, ascorbic acid. So it's an amazing vitamin to take intravenous, because even if you take 1 gram intravenous, it absorbs 100% and is already metabolized. So there is actually a few articles are out there that check your immune system and your vitamin C levels in your blood when you take it oral or when you take it IV, and the difference is humongous just with 1 gram, And when we take it IV at our clinic, we always like to give an average of 5 to 7 grams. So it's a very, very good amount.
Yeah.
Even if you have it once a month, it's more than enough to cover your immunity.
And that's what I love, to be honest. Like, I have to admit, I'm a bit lazy. Like, I don't like stick to, let's say besides the fact that they bother my stomach, but the fact that I'm lazy and I forget about them, it's pretty convenient to just get in the dosage. And like, I even get the B12, because I have deficiency with B12. It's just easy. And I know I'm set for the whole month. And I used to travel a lot for work. So for me, that's really convenient.
Yeah, and actually now that you mentioned the B12 is a very difficult vitamin to absorb if you have deficiencies. Because if you have the issues of not being able to absorb vitamin B12, even if you take it orally, you will never absorb it because your body doesn't know how to absorb this B12. So the only way of having it is either intramuscularly or intravenously. And B12 is very important vitamin for your nervous system. So if you are a very long time low on vitamin B12, you can have very serious long-term issues with your nervous system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's why I always tell
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs, they think I make jokes, and I say, guys, it's well-being is not a fancy thing or a trendy thing you see. You have to really study and learn and educate yourself, like we educate ourselves
Yeah.
about our own businesses, because it really makes a huge difference. Like some people
Yeah.
see things, small things, like say, okay, B12, oh no, okay, fine, you can do this and that. And I'm like, no, you have to really be consistent. You don't do it, you don't go get the booster one time and think you will be fine. You have
Yeah.
to be consistent, you have to maintain.
Especially with your nervous system. I have a personal case, like my grandmother has Alzheimer, and she got it from a very young age. And I always say that I think she didn't have enough vitamins when she was younger, and she had a lot of deficiencies. And of
Mm,
course, I'm not blaming the deficiencies to the Alzheimer, but probably it's something that it triggered it.
yeah,
So for myself and even for my parents, I always make sure that they have the alpha lipoic acid, the vitamin B12, and all the specific ingredients that help that nervous system and the neurons, that they have it.
yeah.
And for me, it's very important to take care of that because I don't want to have any issues in the future.
I also tell my friends all the time, because I have a lot of my friends, when they start family planning and they want to get pregnant, everything, they care about all the important things that they should have in their body to prep for pregnancy. But I always feel like, why do we have to wait for something like that? Our body is meant to operate in a certain way. And if we have these deficiencies or, a weak immune system, we're not operating our body into the maximum capacity. Maximum capacity is high Jumana, you know, biggest capacity of our body. So we get weaker and weaker and weaker, and with the type of hectic life we lead today, it doesn't help. It doesn't help,
Yeah.
especially especially with entrepreneurs, like people like you and I. We work hard, we didn't get everything easy. We had to work hard for our business. And when we see
Mm-hmm.
younger people really not caring for their health and everything, it just reminds that, like for me personally, it reminds me of myself years ago, at least 12 years ago, how I didn't care about my health so much. And then I saw the side effects later. Do you have any
Mm-hmm.
advice for entrepreneurs leading a hectic life?
The best advice that I could give is to manage their time properly, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs that they really want to work hard to succeed, and then they forget about other things in life, right? So spending time with your family, spending time with your friends, spending time in the gym, and making sure that you have a healthy diet and that you take care of your health is the most important thing, because time, no one is going to give it back to you.
Yeah.
And business can be successful, cannot be successful, but as long as you enjoy what you're doing on the way, I'm sure one day or another you will succeed, and you don't need to work 24 hours a day. That would be my advice.
Yeah. I noticed that you've been doing amazing. There's a huge growth in the business, and I see that you're expanding to different countries and all of that. Have you ever, like, when was the time you felt like, okay, I'm really going big? Was Tell me about this experience, because you started really with a humble beginning. You used to lease clinics for like hours to take care of your patients, and that was your passion and continue to be your passion. And now you're growing to be this empire. When was that moment?
So, since the moment that I really wanted to have Elixir Clinic, I saw the business like a worldwide business, because when I could see that there was nothing like what we were doing anywhere in, in the whole, for example, looking at the Middle East and looking at UK, that's where I used to be. And I couldn't believe that there was not even one clinic doing this.
Mm,
And for me, I always knew that this business could be massive, and I've always been very ambitious. So even if it takes me years, even if I have to work really hard towards what I want to do, even if it's ant step, I will get there. So to think big, I think you have to think big, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, because if you don't love what you do, you will get tired really easy, because there is so many obstacles from the beginning. There is so many problems that you will face. And I think even now, if you ask me, of course, we have several clinics between the UK, we have in UAE, we have in Sri Lanka, we're opening in Qatar. But if you ask me now where I'm seeing myself in 5 years, I see another 40 clinics, you know. So that's how you have to think, always very positive and big.
And I love your story. As I mentioned, you know, I was very fascinated that you started as a nurse and now you are an entrepreneur. You had a job, but now you're creating jobs, and it's a beautiful message, you know, to share with people. I remember working on a project with nurses, local nurses, and taking them on special programs to make them understand the role nurses play in medical research and how important is it for nurses to take this step forward. Because, you know, it's not very common here in the UAE that people think nurses are just like taking blood samples. They don't think that nurses spend most of the time with the patient. Nurses actually play a major role in medical research. Or there's so many things that people don't know. But it's beautiful to see today that nurses are being celebrated everywhere. And finally, they're getting the recognition they deserve. I wonder if there's a message you want to give to people, especially young nurses, who might have an idea for the medical sector. Because, you know, people look at nurses like, okay, it's nice, it's a noble thing to do, but this doesn't pay the bills. What would you say to this young nurse sitting at home now thinking of the next big thing?
So nurses, to me, are amazing. They are super important. It's the most important role really in a hospital, because the nurse is who is really going to take care of you, and the nurse is the one that's seeing face to face the patient and making him happy or sad. So it's very important for the nurses to keep motivated and to like what they do. And I think actually a lot of nurses, they love what they do and they love their job, but sometimes they feel demotivated on, where am I gonna go next? What's my next step to grow? And I think nursing has a lot of ways that you can grow. So many different ways. As you said, there is research, not only in cancer. There is so many other things on research that you can work on. There is actually, just before I moved to London, I loved being a midwife, maybe. So bringing babies to the world. And that's also a job of the nurse. And you can work with mental health patients, you can work with special needs kids, you can work with, like, there is so many things that you can do as a nurse.
Yeah.
And of course, instead of just getting stuck in a hospital and just doing the job that you're supposed to do every day, you need to carry on having more knowledge, studying about other things, and exploring out there what's the next thing to do, because there is a lot of things to do.
And there's a lot of innovation in the medical sector, especially now, as you know, governments all over the world are investing more money in the medical sector and, you know, wanting innovation to come out of the healthcare sector. I think it's very important that nurses don't just, you know, don't feel that they are just nurses. You know, I mean, you are a perfect example. You started as a nurse and today you're an entrepreneur, empowering other nurses and other medical professionals as well in the field. And you came up with a concept that is totally new, you know, and I love that. I want to talk about a bit of the challenges or learnings, or how is it different doing business in the UAE than doing business, let's say, in the UK or in Sri Lanka, in your field, in the medical field?
Yeah, so my field is very different from one country to another. For my experience, when I started in the UK, and I think I started my business because I was in the UK. If I was an entrepreneur in UAE, it would have been a bit more difficult. If you don't have investment, of course. Well, like, we are starting from, like, there is a lot of entrepreneurs that they don't have the financials to just start their own business. And actually that's the best entrepreneurs, because are the ones that are having the ideas and starting the businesses, right? So in London, when I had this amazing idea and I really wanted to do it, I could rent the room by hour. I could hire a doctor by hour as well whenever I had the patient, and it was not required so many different things like in the UAE, for example. In the UAE, it's been an amazing journey. But when I started, if I didn't have the investment that we had, would have been impossible to start a business, especially on the medical field. Because, as an example, if you want to open your first clinic, you cannot sublease from another clinic. You have to open your own clinic. So, of course, it's extremely expensive to maintain a full clinic by yourself. And even if you are a doctor, that you want to do a service as a self-employed, you can't do that. You have to be employed by someone in a clinic and then do that towards the clinic. So it's a bit more challenging to do to start a business in UAE. However, once we started the business, to run the business was easier to run it in UAE than in the UK, just because in the UK there is more difficulties to find nurses. There is even the nurses, they tend to jump more from one job to another more often than they do here in Dubai. So I found out that, through the experience that I had, it's been amazing to run the business in UAE because things are very smooth and easy when it comes down to staff. In the UK, it's a bit more challenging, the staff. But to start the business as an entrepreneur myself, like I started working as a nurse myself, the business was just Mahi and I when we started 7 years ago. Just the two of us.
I'm yet to meet Mahi. I'm pretty sure when we meet, hopefully when this is all over, I will learn a lot of interesting stories about all the journeys and the great stuff you guys have
to be honest, we had a lot of fun working together, just without too many headaches. We're just working and having fun. The both of us in the clinic when we started was amazing. We have amazing stories. And then it just got a little bit more complicated, right? When you start hiring people and having the commitment of paying salaries, of course, like at the end of the month, that's the main thing that you have in your heads. Like, I have to pay my employees' salaries, and they are under my responsibility. So this is something that, it just gives you stress, especially with times of COVID, when you have to pay salaries and it's difficult times. But thank God that we are in a wellness business, and we picked up very fast after opening. And we have a very strong team, and we're blessed with that. Yeah.
I have to say that whenever I go to the clinic, I see the team, they're very welcoming, they're very happy. These are things that you can't fake. If you go to a business and people you can see in the service, it reflects, but I feel like, hi, Mahi.
Hi, Mahi. Yeah.
So I feel like, this is something I like when I go to your clinic, because I feel the staff are happy, and they're very patient. Yeah. Like, I'm a chicken, like I'm scared of needles, and they take time, and they're like relaxed, and they calm you down.
Yeah.
And I think these are qualities, when you run a business, these are the things that you look for. But at the same time, you mentioned something really interesting, like attracting talents. Like in the UK was harder than here, for example.
Yeah.
Do you think, I know there are certain categories of talents, do you think you are able to attract more talents in the medical field or in the wellness field to Abu Dhabi and to the UAE through your business?
Now it's much easier. When we started, it was a big challenge, especially with doctors, just because the treatment that we were doing was quite new to them. When we wanted to recruit a doctor, they would say, what is this? And it was a bit challenging, not only for the customers but also for the employees. Now it's much easier because obviously we're more well known. The doctors are more knowledgeable about the IVs, and it's easier to hire people. And especially in UAE, I find it much easier than in the UK. Yeah.
What do you
and by the way, when you mentioned that our team looks happy, and I love to hear that, because we see Elixir as a family. We are not and even if we have like almost 100 employees with us, we see our business as a family business. And I always like to meet everyone personally, and I know everyone by name. So This
That's
is something that I think is very important as a culture of a business, and they really love the employees to see that at the end of the day, I'm here to, if anyone needs to call me or to ask me anything, and they know that.
I feel like also in your industry, you had to do a lot of awareness, not just for the talents you have, but also to your target
Mm-hmm.
audience, like your clients. How did you
Yeah.
manage to work on awareness and educating them of the importance of the work you guys are doing?
So actually, this was another big challenge that we had, that clients didn't know about the treatment, and we had to do a lot of education about it.
Mm.
So we thankfully we found out through social media that it's very easy to educate, because obviously it's a very fast way of educating, because everyone is on the phone all the time. So if you send, sometimes you will receive a lot of bad messages from other channels, but if you choose the right companies or the right people to follow, you will get good information as well. So Instagram for sure was good, and then we do a lot of talks. We have a lot of webinars. We have seminars, and Dr. Heba, that you love,
Love her.
she's he always is involved in so many different things. Like we go and do webinars with the police, with the Prime Minister office, with like we do a lot of corporate talks.
Mm.
um, we have so many things that we engage with, and we love educating. We're not going there to sell anything, we're just going there to spread wellness and to talk about lifestyle, and to explain to them how important it is to check their vitamins. And what we do actually is, in these talks we take our mineral tissue analysis. So we do a lot of times for free to people, just to check what's their deficiencies, so they are aware. And it's very fast, it's non-invasive. It's just on the palm of your hand. You have, like, in 2 minutes you have actually in 30 seconds you have the results.
That's
So it's
amazing.
really good treatment. And we love doing that, just to inform clients, even if they don't have the IV, because at the end of the day, that if you are afraid of needles and you don't really want to have the IV, you can still have and take the supplements, but at least you know what's deficient in your body, and you can take care of it.
But I like the part of it that's practical. I mix a couple of things and it's one go and I'm set, for the month. I
Yes.
love it. I love it, to be honest. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everyone in the UAE is vitamin D deficiency. How
Yeah.
do you feel like when clients come to your clinic, are they prioritizing, let's say, vitamin D over, let's say, B12 or the VIP treatment? I just want to know, because I'm just curious, because everyone is deficient, it has deficiencies in vitamin D, and it's a
Yeah.
big problem.
It is actually 99% of the clients that come to the clinic, they are deficient of vitamin D. And even if you sunbathe and you put sunblock in your body, you won't absorb vitamin D. And even if, look, it's very, very difficult. Vitamin D, unfortunately, is very difficult to get absorbed. And it's super important to absorb calcium, to make sure that you have a good bone structure, to make sure that you have your skin, your hair, your nails, your immunity, super important for your immunity. So vitamin D is something that everybody should check. And unfortunately, we cannot give vitamin D unless you have a blood test, because it's a liposoluble vitamin, so it can get toxic in your body. But it's like a second to just check, blood test. The results come immediately. And actually, that's why I don't have too many bundles in the clinic, but one bundle is about vitamin C, blood test, and vitamin D injection, because I think it's so important. Everybody should check it.
Yeah.
And yeah, regardless if you go to your GP or to Elixir Clinic, you should check your vitamin D levels. And if you don't want an injection, you need to take the supplements, because that vitamin D is extremely important, and everyone is lacking vitamin D.
You know what? Something I've learned throughout my health and well-being journey, like trying to figure things out and learning.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I used to go to hospitals and everything, I do blood tests and everything. And I would go and ask, oh, am I like, do I have issues, with vitamin D or anything? So, oh, it's low, but it's not bad. And then I go and like go for a second opinion and third opinion, and then they tell me, oh, this is really bad. Like, it's super low. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. I feel like people underestimate. Like, they keep telling you, oh, it's low. You can, you can survive, but in the long term, you will see a bad result. And especially with vitamin D, because it's such a big problem in the UAE, and I'm not sure about other countries. I'm not an expert in the field, but in the UAE,
yeah, it is a problem everywhere. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's something I will encourage people to kind of look at, because vitamin D is important, but it's not the only thing. Like, there are a lot of places and people like Dr. Heba, for example, where she helped me to put a program like to work on myself, that fits my lifestyle. And people should not start looking at this as a cost and like wonder about spending money and doing that. This is an investment in your health.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are focusing on the wrong things right now, where they have to focus on their health.
Definitely. And as you mentioned, the treatment plan is very important, because what you don't want is just to go somewhere and just pick and choose what you want to have. No, you need to have your diagnosis, you need to have your deficiencies checked, and then after that, the doctor will describe the program that is tailored to you and that is more beneficial to your needs. Because, for example, on my needs, I always want to, as I mentioned before, for the nervous system and to make sure that I detoxify. I'm obsessed with detoxifying heavy metals and oxidative stress and free radicals. So to do that, of course, like if you have one IV, it's not going to be enough. So you need to have a plan, and you need to properly detoxify your body with a plan.
Yeah. Okay. This will be my last question, because I'm just curious, and I know you get this question all the time. You're a mom and you're an entrepreneur, and you juggle a lot of things and manage a lot of things. How do you do it?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I got pregnant, I completely freaked out. I thought, oh my God, how am I gonna do that? And I had a long distance with my husband for more than 3 years. So my life was not easy. I struggled a lot just because I wanted to build the business. And then I just thought, I will manage it. And I think women have this hidden power, and they can manage everything they want, and they are amazing and super strong. So even though I was super scared, I managed it. Mahi was super supportive as well, so really helped me throughout the way. And then, of course, my husband and my family. But once the baby was here, I even became stronger. It's something difficult to explain, but I always tell all the moms or moms to be that they shouldn't be scared. Like, it's something that it's amazing to have a baby, and it's amazing to have a business. So you have both amazing things in life, and I love it. I love having my baby, and sometimes I take it to the office, and I just the most important thing is to manage the time. Even if you don't have a baby and you don't manage your time, you can really be screwed. But if you manage your time, you can take care of your family, you can take care of your friends, and you can take care of your health.
A lot of people, like, this is something I learned as well, like doing business and also working in the government back in the day. I thought working hard is the way, forward. And then I learned that no, working smart is the way forward. You will still work hard, but you work smart. And this is very
true.
And I think, as entrepreneurs and especially as women, there's so many responsibilities on us, and there's so many expectations of us. Not that we should care about people's expectations of us, but there's so much expectation on women that we have to really be smart about how we do things, and I think that's a cool thing to see a mom, a successful entrepreneur, a passionate professional in the healthcare sector. I'm so excited to learn more from you and Mahi and the team at Elixir, inshallah, soon. I have a question from one of the guys here asking, what's happening with Sri Lanka branch? When is it gonna open?
Sri Lanka. We are in Colombo. Yeah, we
You're
are
already open. Someone asked that question.
Yes, we've been open for the last 3 months, and it's an amazing place. Our partners there, Crystal Clinic, they are beautiful partners. They they are really good, and they've been operational for the last 3-4 months.
I see my brother Mansour is online. I'm gonna tell him he's an athlete, so he should come to the Elixir Clinic and take care of
Yes,
some of
for
his
sure. We would love to take care of him.
yeah. I think that's it. Anything else you'd like to add? Any advice? Any tips?
Actually, you didn't explain anything about yourself, and I would like to know a little bit. You asking me so many questions.
I was just fascinated, you know, like this is for me such a big thing because it took me literally 12 years to learn about myself and my body and my well-being and what do I have to do. So for me, you are the star of this show. But I'll tell you a little
Thank
bit
you.
about myself.
Yes, please. I heard so much about you, so I want to know more.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I run multiple businesses in different sectors. I work a lot with entrepreneurs. I'm big into women empowerment. You know, I wear different hats. I act as an advisor for multiple government entities, but I also do a lot of community-focused initiatives. So, yeah, I think I'm not. I'm one of many good people in our country that does so many good things. And yeah, that's me basically in very summary introduction.
Amazing. I would love to hear more details as well next time.
Yeah, next time hopefully we meet face to face. This COVID
Yes.
is over.
And maybe I'll meet you in the clinic one day.
Yes, definitely.
When I can come to Abu Dhabi.
Yes, when you are allowed to come to Abu Dhabi, exactly.
Yes.
Guys, I want to say that if you have any questions for myself or for my guest, please feel free to DM us. I'd be more than happy to make an introduction. It's important to realize that when there are successful businesses, they come from hardworking people, and this is why this episode was very important for me. This is nothing commercial. This is not a paid ad or anything like that. This is a collaboration because I really believe that women and entrepreneurs in general, they work so hard, and then when they make it, people just pay attention to the business and they forget the people behind the scene. And I think this is what I love doing. I like to highlight the people behind the scenes. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm really flattered. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I hope next time we will have Mahi on board as well.
Yes.
Get her on board.
She loves these Instagram lives, so I'm sure she will say yes anytime.
Maybe in London, while she, like we do a live for London-based friends, when we visit London soon.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
No problem. And this won't be the last time we talk.
I hope we'll be talking soon. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All
Have
of you.
fun. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.